We have our crow animation here that we're going to refine. And let's just play this through here. And what I think I'd like to do is alter the animation of the wings a little bit. So I'm going to select the joint that has my animation on it. And we'll go to Window, Animation Editors, Graph Editor. And we'll scale that window down a little bit. And now inside the graph editor, I can hit A to frame all. That way I get all of my curves fitted to my window. And what I think I'd like to do is speed that wing flapping up a little bit. He's actually taking off from the ground before his wings are doing anything. That's pretty much physically impossible. So let's take that back to the beginning of our animation and make some adjustments here. I'm going to focus on just this section here. So I'll select all of those keyframes there. And what I'd like to do is move these down, and we'll probably move them down to maybe around frame 3 or so. So with those selected, I'll hit W, and I'm going to hold Shift and middle mouse and drag. And remember that Shift, holding that Shift, is going to lock my keys, and I'll hit the middle mouse button and drag. It's going to lock those so that all of those keys will retain their current value and just slide in time. And that should be about frame 3. Actually, I think I'm at frame 4. Let's move that down just one more. There we go. And now those wings are starting a little bit better. It's actually coming down and pushing down. That's good. But let's tighten this up even more. I'm going to deselect my first keys here. And to do that, I'm just going to hold Control and drag a marquee across them. And again, I'll hold Shift and middle mouse. And this time I'm going to drag these to frame 7 to kind of remove some of that empty space in between there. There we go. And now he's flapping pretty good before he takes off from the ground. Now, in adjusting that animation, we've now created a little bit more of a problem here for us. Now I go out to frame 32 and my wings stop flapping. So I need to extend the animation on those wings. I'm going to click just into empty space to deselect all of those keys. And as I look, what I want to do is just extend the rotate X. And the reason for that is if I focus here on just the Y and the Z, I can see that they kind of flatline. There's no real animation on any of these. And if I hit F to frame my current selection, and my current selection being rotate Z, the rotate Z curve, if I frame that up, I can see that the animation flatlines. There's really nothing there. I could even select these keys here and delete them. They're serving no real purpose at this point. And same thing with the Y. Again, I'll just hit F. And the Y channel's doing the same deal there, that all those keys have the same value. So I don't have to worry about scaling those because it's not doing anything out there. So let's go to X and we'll just deal with it, and we'll hit F there. And actually I'm going to zoom out just a bit more. And I want to extend this wing flapping, or this particular curve here. We want to extend that. I want to add it to the end here. And we can do so by copying and pasting. I'm going to select right here, and this is where the wing starts to repeat. Now, I didn't grab that first frame because it is not at the same level as these out here. That frame right there is not going to be a perfect replica or a cycle like these are. So I left that one out. And what we can do here is just hit Control C for copy. Now, instead of Control C, I can also go to Edit and choose Copy, Cut, or Paste as well. But we'll just do Control C. That's a little bit easier. And then let's move to our last frame here. I'll do Control V to paste the keys that I copied. Now, when I paste those, they're not going exactly where I want them to. They're actually going much higher as it's being connected to the very last keyframe. That's going to kind of make our wings freak out there. As we can see, they kind of collapse in on themselves. Let's undo, and I'll grab this last key here and just delete it. And now with that gone, I can hit Control V, and again, what I've copied will be pasted to the very last frame there. And it's also, as you'll notice there, it's pasted to where my timeline was. So we want to undo, and let's just move that back to our last key, and Control V, and paste that in there. And now that extends our animation nicely. Right at frame 49, we need to go just a little bit further. We just got one more frame that we want to sneak in there. So I'll just repeat the process and we'll extend it over our end of our animation. So I'll select that last keyframe again, hit delete on the keyboard, move my timeline back to the frame that I want to paste to, and hit Control V. There we go. And now that will naturally extend just that little extra frame there, and that's perfect. And let's hit play. He takes off, and wings are flapping good. Then I notice that he starts to take off, and then he kind of zooms away a little bit right there in mid-space. So right around here somewhere, he just kind of turns on the turbojets, and that doesn't look so good either. Most likely that's coming from this control, my root control. We can take a look. We'll go back to our graph editor. And we know it's not going to come from a rotate value. It's in our translation. And if we look in our world, it's got to be in the translate Z. So I'm going to highlight that channel, and we'll hit F to frame that up. And right there we can see that I have a bend in my curve. And this is going to cause that kind of little funky acceleration that's happening. It's going nice and even right here, and then it hits this key, and then all of a sudden turns up sharply. So we want to iron that out. So let's select that key, and all we really need to do is grab the handle, middle mouse, and just bring that handle down so that's a little bit smoother as it goes up through there. And we'll play. There we go. And now we have a smoother transition there, and he's not suddenly taking off. But now one thing he is doing as he approaches the end of his animation, he slows down. You can see it just right there. Boom, he just slows down right at the end there. And that's because this translate curve here is easing out. And you can see how that bend there, it's planing off. It's not getting any higher value. So I'll select this key and then select its handle. And then we'll make that one there go in a line with my tangent. Now we can also use some of our auto tangent features up here. For instance, if I wanted to get that back to where it was, that's a flat tangent. So I can just click that there. Whoops, and we've got our tangents are being altered there because I had that one selected. So let's just select the middle there and we'll flatten that tangent. Or we could break it like that and send it down into its tangent from the curve. And we'll undo that. Or this one, which is ultimately what I'm going to stick with, so that the curve, both tangents will continue to extend. So if I were to add another key there, this tangent here would not be broken. So now when we hit play, now he continues at his speed and doesn't slow down there at the end.